All right. So this time we're going to see the quick demo of open source security by Sneak. So let's go to the console. Let's head to the product. So while it's loading, open source security by Sneak is a product which is going to scan your code repositories, whether it's in your favorite SCMs like GitHub, GitLab, or GitHub Enterprise. And it also helps with doing continuous integrations. You can have your code run locally using the Sneak CLI, or integrate with Jenkins or any other build tools in your environment. And we've got plugin for your favorite IDEs, Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ, PyCharm. We also scan package repositories, serverless, platform as a service. We've also got feedback mechanisms with the help of integrations with Slack and Jira. So let's look at this particular vulnerability. So as we are aware, this is a Java log4j vulnerability, which is a logging library present in your code. So Trend Micro's Cloud One open source security by Sneak is actually going to scan for your source code as well as the third-party libraries, open source libraries for any vulnerabilities, and it will also give you a dependency tree, which is nothing but a bill of material of your direct as well as transitive libraries or dependencies for your particular code. And not just that, it also highlights the licensing issues. So for this particular demo, I have already done the scan once. So let me go through that and see what do we see here, right? So as you can see, the Gradle has actually built this particular project, and Sneak starts scanning it, and they found out that log4j core, which is the vulnerable library, is found, and with the CVEs priority score of 750. So there are a lot of things which contribute to this, which is the exploit maturity, whether it's trending or not. And we also give you a lot of information on what is the exact version which is vulnerable for log4j and how you can fix it. So this particular solution also has a capability to do recurring scans of your particular code. You can set it to daily, weekly, or you can completely disable it. So whenever there is any new vulnerability gets discovered in any other libraries as well, so that could be scanned. So here you can see it actually shows you a dependency chart of all the direct as well as the transitive dependencies which are associated with this code. So this is really important to understand, because we know that your source code may not be directly having a specific library, but it's a dependency, third-party dependency or a transitive dependency, and that has a vulnerability. It could impact your overall code as well. So it's really important. And these open source libraries today comprise of almost 70% of the enterprise code base. So this particular solution helps you build very early in the cycle and do continuous scans of your code to identify those vulnerabilities and give a feedback to the developer so that they can fix it, or if not fixed, then obviously patch it during later stages. And let's quickly see what role Vision One has to play here. So next I'm going to talk about Trend Micro's Vision One platform. Now this particular platform, Trend Micro Vision One, is a comprehensive XDR, which is extended detection and response. So this is not just relevant for your server workloads, detection and protection as well as response capabilities, but it cuts across your enterprise, protection and detection solutions, like, for example, Trend Micro Apex One, email security solution, your DDI, as well as web security. So it's an extended detection and response. So it collects telemetry and correlates the data from across all these channels or attack vectors and gives you a picture of what's happening in your environment. So as you can see, this is a demo environment, so you're not able to see the MITRE ATT&CK chart fully populated, but here you will be able to see a complete mapping of your MITRE ATT&CK TDPs, what's happening in your environment. You'll be able to see cloud app usage, risky cloud applications, what are the top risky devices in my environment, top risky users, which are the different workbenches. We will see this, what does workbench allows you to do. You can see endpoints reporting activities. So this is where you get the inventory of your endpoints, whether these are Apex One or workload security. So let's quickly look at first how this actually helps. So if you go to the targeted attack detection, so Trend Micro has proactively is tracking for any targeted attacks. So in this case, we're going to see today log4 shell, or maybe the previous ones like Ryuk or Revel and things like that. So the main question here is that what you should ask is whether I'm impacted by these attacks and what action should I be taking to prevent this particular exploit from running in my environment. So this is where Trend Micro gives you that proactive information and helps with that. And next, you will see the intelligence report. So Trend Micro has compiled a list of extensive threat intelligence which our threat researchers has built. And with this, you are able to automatically sweep your environment for any traces of this particular vulnerability which is being exploited. So, for example, if you look at this particular intelligence report, you have an option to manually sweep as well if you want to see whether there is any alerts which are generated by when the application or your environment gets exploited. So you can do that from here. And not just that, you can further also actually see search the data lake from Trend Micro. And in this search, you can, we discussed earlier, we can run Kibana style queries, and this particular query will run and is really helpful when you do threat hunting for any particular new targeted attacks which are happening out there. So when you do the search query, you will be able to see those incidents in your environment. So you'll be able to see the interesting information like the source IP, as well as what particular product is responsible for this, the interested host, and the additional information like what payload was run as well. So you can further drill down and start investigating a bit more. And the next important thing is the workbenches. So these workbenches are a collection of basically your alerts which get generated, and it shows you that particular event. And from here, you can do further investigation. So in this case, this workbench was generated because this attempt or this exploit succeeded in the environment, and you will be able to see the summary of that and what is the score and what are the factors contributing to this particular scoring. And further, you will see what exactly happened. We run a bash shell script, and this particular vulnerability was exploited on this particular server. So this is the vulnerable server. So there are various actions we can do from this particular server. So if you go on the server and right click it, and you can take a remote shell, we will see that you can first of all see more details about this particular server, what this server is. And once you've identified that this is the server present in your environment and is impacted, you can take actions like either isolate, because isolation is the first step when you're going to respond to that. And then you have to collect further forensic data. You can do a remote shell from here itself and then collect the files, or maybe delete those files if you find that those are malicious. You can do so many activities. So once you go there, you'll be able to see a bash shell command prompt, and from there again Linux style commands can be run to take any actions, whether collect those files and things like that. So we'll quickly see this. So here the shell is presented, so you can do ls and see what are the different files present in this particular system. So let's come out of this and we can put a note that okay, we collected this particular file for further investigations. Now let's also look at when you have this particular workbench, what additionally we can also do is that, because Trend Micro Vision One is not just a XDR platform, but it's also a platform which gives you risk insights and also helps you build a zero trust framework in your environment. So for that, we have got secure access rules. So when we click this option, check risk insights assessment, so it's going to give me this particular device's risk score and which are the factors which contribute to this particular risk. Because XDR detection was there, so that's why you will see a risk score of 59. Furthermore, when you have this risk score, for example, you have baseline that any risk greater than 50 in my environment, I do not want that device to be able to access my internal application or any other application. So you can take those actions with the help of secure access rules. So what this rule allows you to do is that you can use that predefined templates and block access for this device to any other applications in your environment. So there are so many rules. For example, devices with persistent risk scores, you can take those actions like revoke actions when the risk drops down to the benchmark which you have set. You can define when do you want to take this block action for internal applications and things like that, right? So that's it for this demo. Thank you.